Plato wrote many conversations. People talk freely in them, and sometimes side stories sound more exciting than the main idea. But usually the beginning and the end connect. You can spot tiny clues that appear again. They help the whole talk stick together. It's okay if each talk doesn't focus on just one idea. Plato liked to mix things up. Some thinkers try to link all the talks into one big lesson, or say each one covers everything. That makes things confusing. Plato's key ideas like goodness and pleasure, or knowledge and belief, show up often, but we shouldn't push them into every story. He wanted his ideas to feel natural and alive. New smart people can add new views, but those ideas must match what the text really says. If a theory starts to drift, we should pause and look carefully. The Gorgias talk is full of big ideas. Socrates talks with three people. First, Gorgias, a proud speech teacher. Then Polus, a hot-headed student. Last is Callicles, who loves power and pleasure. Plato uses their talk to ask, what is real greatness? Is it the ability to make speeches or the choice to live honestly? Socrates tries to show that making speeches is not the highest skill. It can sound like cookery or flattery. It only makes people feel good for a moment. Real art cares for people, body or soul. Bad people might enjoy pleasure, but they can still be lying to themselves. Socrates says doing harm is worse than being harmed. A person who does wrong must be punished so they can learn to be better. Leaders should help people grow, not just flatter them. In the end, everyone will face the gods for truth, and mere speeches won't help there. Callicles says strong people should rule, laws are for weaklings, and pleasure is the best thing. Socrates answers with stories. One person fills jars that don't leak. The other keeps filling leaky jars forever. He says true happiness comes from self-control, justice, and helping others, even if it's hard. He wants Callicles to choose the better road. Socrates also warns that speaking well without caring for truth is dangerous. He insists punishment can help someone become better, like a sick person who goes to a doctor. Plato uses myths too. The Gorgias myth shows what happens after death. The Phaedo story is more poetic, with souls traveling in the sky and places for the good and the bad. In the Republic, the myth of judgment brings alive the idea that souls choose their path before coming to Earth and face consequences afterward. Other myths. In the Phaedrus, the soul lives before birth and keeps fighting between good thoughts and wild wants. In the Statesman, people were once born from the earth and lived peacefully under a god. Plato uses these stories to show how people might live better lives. He blends beautiful pictures with big ideas, like the soul riding horses or the earth turning differently. His myths are not pure facts, but meant to make us think. Plato also thinks about poetry and art. He wants art to teach truth and goodness, not only make people feel excited. Real poets, he says, should help others know themselves, feel noble, and choose the good. He worries about stories that praise lies or only chase pleasure. Still, he believes poems can be beautiful if they lift people up. Most of all, Plato wants life, art, and politics to aim for truth. He believes we should try to bring order to chaos and treat our souls with care. Even though our world is far from perfect, there's hope. Another life where justice gets its chance. Until then, we should love goodness, learn from wise stories, and stay honest. Socrates says he likes when people correct him and he corrects them, because finding the truth is more important than being right for no reason. Gorgias, the famous teacher, is ready to talk too. Socrates asks him if rhetoric is just convincing people, even when they don't know better. And Gorgias says yes. Socrates wonders if the speaker really knows what is good or bad or just tricks people into agreeing. Gorgias admits that if students do not already know what is right, they must learn it from him. Socrates uses examples of crafts, music, medicine, justice, to show that learning a thing should make someone good at it. So if rhetoric is about justice, the speaker should always be just. Yet earlier Gorgias said a bad speaker is to blame when someone uses rhetoric wrongly. Socrates sees a contradiction. He later calls rhetoric a kind of flattery, a fake version of politics that only tries to please people and not help their souls. In this view, rhetoric is like the cook who only cares about tasty food and not health. Polus joins and accuses Socrates of tricking people. Socrates asks him to keep answers short and clear. When Polus asks what rhetoric really is, Socrates says it is an experience that gives pleasure, not an art that seeks truth or improves the soul. He explains that sleazy speakers copy the real arts for the soul, like justice, but only focus on making people feel better. Socrates calls this flattery. He says these flattering speakers do not have true power, because power only helps someone when it brings good. Polus argues that rulers who hurt others are strong and powerful, but Socrates says they are actually stuck, because they do not get what they really want. Their soul is sick, and punishment helps heal it just like medicine heals the body. He says doing wrong is worse than having wrong done to you. He would rather be hurt unfairly than hurt others. Callicles then arrives, saying he likes strength and thinks the smart and strong should take what they want. He believes laws are made by weak people to hold the strong down. He says a man should follow his desires, and that living with big pleasures means true happiness. Socrates listens and keeps asking questions. He compares people to barrels. A strong person's barrel is full and stays full, while a greedy person's barrel leaks and must be filled again and again. Callicles says he likes the constant pleasure of filling, but Socrates points out that the greedy person is never satisfied and keeps wasting. He shows that pleasure and good are not the same thing, because good and bad do not happen together, but pleasure and pain can happen at the same time. Socrates reminds him that good people are calm, fair, and brave, and that their souls need order. Bad people are messy inside. Socrates explains that some speeches help the soul with truth and justice, while others only flatter crowds. He calls the flattering kind flattery, like a cook who only wants to make food taste good. The good speech, like a doctor for the soul, wants to bring justice, temperance, and other virtues. He asks Callicles if great leaders like Pericles made citizens better or worse. Callicles first tries to avoid the answer, but Socrates keeps pointing out that if a person is a good leader, the citizens should become better, not meaner or more unjust. He adds that rulers who disappoint the people eventually get punished. If they change the citizens for the worse, were they really good? Socrates keeps asking Callicles about the point of building and learning. He says that just like builders and doctors only take big jobs after lots of practice and proof, the people who want to help the city should prove they can make people better. He questions whether famous leaders truly taught justice, or whether they only taught people to love money and gentle talk. Socrates concludes that true happiness comes from keeping the soul healthy, with order, justice, and self-control, not from grabbing power or endless pleasure. He says it is more important to do what is right than to just stay safe or become powerful. He wants rulers and speakers to care for people's souls, not trick them. Socrates reminds Callicles that the body has helper jobs like cooks and tailors, but the real bosses are gymnastics and medicine, which know what's healthy. He says the soul is the same. People praise the wrong leaders who feed citizens luxury, but don't teach them to be strong or fair. When trouble comes, the crowd blames the new helpers even though the old rulers caused it. The real teachers of the soul should guide others, not just make them feel good. Socrates says true teachers don't blame students for being bad, because they are supposed to help them become good. If they really do help, the students will want to pay later. But people often say it's wrong to be paid for teaching goodness. Socrates asks Callicles if he should just tell the city nice words or work to make people better. Callicles says he should be a helper who says pleasant things. Socrates warns that men who aren't fair will hurt the city and the helpers who try to fix things. Socrates then tells a story about how Zeus made judges for the dead so they see the soul clearly. Rhadamanthus, Minos, and Aeacus decide who goes to the Happy Islands or to a place of punishment. Bad souls, especially cruel rulers, stay in punishment to teach others, while good souls go to peace. Socrates believes his soul must stay clean, so he can meet the judges honestly. He ends by saying life is the biggest fight, and the only thing we really know is that hurting others is worse than being hurt. He says the best life is doing what's right, even when people shout, call us silly, or hurt us. If we stay fair, nothing bad can really happen. Socrates wants Callicles and everyone to learn to be good now, so they can live happily now and after death.